Give the video games industry a week, let alone a month, and they will prove to you that they can always come up with some new scummy business practice to try and slip in under the radar. On this episode of Screw the Consumer, we have Like a Dragon, Yakuza, who have a new game coming out in a few days called Infinite Wealth. Now, Yakuza and Like a Dragon are becoming one of like a fan-favorite-esque series. It's just growing in popularity and notoriety and is beloved for its side content, its extremely emotionally impactful storyline, and just wacky, zany antics that can go on in the games. And in the newest game, Infinite Wealth, if you want access to New Game Plus, you must get either the Deluxe Edition or the Ultimate Edition, according to the website. It's not there in the Standard Edition. The base game is $70, not $60. The Deluxe Edition, the cheapest version that has New Game Plus, as well as, according to the website, a bonus dungeon, a special summon, resort guests, outfits, and more, alongside New Game Plus. That Deluxe Edition is $84.99 on Steam. For the Ultimate Edition, it's $109.99, essentially $110. That gives you what the Deluxe Edition has, alongside, according to the website again, customize your party's look with outfits and swimwear. For the Assorted Outfit Bundle, for the Sujimon and Resort Bundle, you get the Legendary Sujimon, Resort Guest, and Special Boosters, and then for the Yakuza CD Collection Set, you can increase your in-game playlist with classic karaoke tracks. But the star, the thing drawing all this controversy for Yakuza lately, is inserting this New Game Plus into the Deluxe and Ultimate Editions. It is not available, again, according to the website, from the base game. That, to me, under no false pretense, is scummy, inexcusable, and another example of the video games industry trying desperately to take a mile and haggle you down to half a mile. There's a lot of other scummier business practices out there, especially nowadays. From gacha to battle passes to microtransactions that can barely be called micro anymore. Simply having New Game Plus in these higher echelon tiers will draw some controversy, but I can't see this drawing any significant pushback against the game on the whole. I can't really see this affecting the bottom line. And that's kind of one of the issues, isn't it, at the end of the day, because that's how stuff like this gets normalized, because people don't view it as worthy of their time or scorn as some of these other business practices. Or people justify it and inherently normalize it by saying, well, it's not as bad as what others do, as if that's some kind of glowing praise that the game deserves for some reason. I remember a time when a game released in a finished state that didn't try and carve out pieces of the experience to sell it back to you piecemeal, or to try and justify some higher echelon purchase, to try and siphon more money from the consumer. But now, even in beloved series like Yakuza, Like a Dragon, they are willing to engage in these scummy business practices. And you know there's gonna be so many mindless people out there that try and defend this crap simply because they like Yakuza and they view any critique of their favorite game as inherently critical or some kind of personal attack on them as a person. When it's not, it's just calling out a bad anti-consumer business practice that is deliberately and directly removing a core piece of the experience that many other games have as part of the base value to carve it out to be additional value so that you spend more money. It is glorified Day 1 DLC. In all but name. It devalues the idea of the $70 base price. Because the justification that people used for years now to justify games going higher than $60 at a base was the fact of inflation, and that games are more expensive. Completely and deliberately ignoring the realities of the video games industry, as if games, even including this one, Infinite Wealth, don't have other mechanisms to siphon money from the consumer. Ulterior machinations to recoup whatever money would be lost from that value. Because what games do nowadays on the whole is strip out value from the base game to be bundled into higher tiers. Or they do microtransactions or whatnot. This game is electing to lean into the idea of deluxe editions and ultimate editions. I can't agree that the game is worth $70, let alone any other game worth it at $70, when you engage in business practices that devalue the idea of purchasing an entire game for that $70, because you're not. You're buying part of the game. You are no longer buying a complete experience at $70, let alone $60 if it was even available. You are buying part of the experience. A mere sampling to be teased and tantalized so that hopefully you will get hooked and decide to purchase those higher tier rewards. And there's another value, another avenue to this discussion I think is wanting to be talked about and discussed, and that is Game Pass. Does anyone believe for half a second that in the future, Game Pass versions of games will be the deluxe editions or the ultimate editions and not just the standard editions? And if that's the case, and you lock off core components of a game behind these higher tier rewards or structures, not structures, these echelons, these additions, you lock off core parts of the content, or any part of the content, to be ripped out and bundled into higher editions, that devalues the allure of Game Pass. Because does anyone think for a second that Infinite Wealth will be the only game to do this in the future? Does anyone think that for a second? Do you know how many video game companies are out there? Developers, publishers, whatever. How many of them are going to be looking at this game to see how putting New Game Plus and likewise content of a similar vein in the deluxe or ultimate editions or whatever company wants to call it, to see how that pans out, how the outcry pans out, how much notoriety this gets, how quickly it's forgotten and relegated to the annals of YouTube videos of years gone by. The YouTube channel Jim Stilling said this a while ago, and I entirely agree. The defense and argument in advocation for $70 as a base price, or to increase the base price of video games, is wholly, mentally and morally, separated from the reality of the video games industry in the modern year. This was true 5 or 6 years ago, this is true now, especially so. I can't look at Infinite Wealth and say that you get a complete game with $70. New Game Plus is a core component, a fixture, a mainstay of video games for years. And now it is slowly being shoved out the door on the altar of monetization as cosmetic progression and rewards were all those years ago. So that internet warriors in defense of my corporation, or my plastic box, or my digital download can say that, oh, it doesn't matter to me, oh, it was never a big part of the experience. Willfully and shamelessly desiring to be screwed over time and time again by these massive corporations, so that more and more fixtures and mainstays of the video game ecosystem and video games on the whole can be slowly ripped apart, exsanguinated, and strewn together into higher echelon editions or microtransactions. Don't tell me games are worth $70. Don't tell me that in the modern day. You're not buying a complete game at $70. You are buying a Mr. Potato Head that is missing components to it. And over time, more and more components are removed from the base experience to be sold back to you later on. It used to be that you could buy a Mr. Potato Head and you would have the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the hands, the legs, the feet, the hat, the whatever. You would have everything. And now, because of the ever-evolving machinations and greed of the video games industry, you buy the freaking potato. Eyes sold separately. And these companies hope that you at least become blind to the realities of the ever-growing trends of the video games industry, and hoping that over time, that all these little decisions, like taking away New Game Plus from the base experience to be sold back to you, hoping that an accumulation with all these other business practices, and masqueraded by even more disgusting ones, that they become normalized, excused, and forgiven. So that the next time this happens or comes around, or they try and do this again, people don't bat an eye to it. They assume this is the usual. This is normal. It is not. It is abnormal. And for a series that has accumulated so much respect and admiration in the video games industry in recent years, it is a crying shame to see it stoop to these levels. And what will be even more of a shame is seeing the wealth of people willingly defend it, whether not being able to see past their own nose because they refuse to see actual trends in the video games industry and just say, I'm not going to play New Game Plus anyways, it doesn't matter, or they feel some kind of holy call to arms to defend their favorite corporation or their favorite series, as if critique and the business practices video game companies undertake and utilize to their own advantage to screw over you is somehow condemnation of you as a person. This has happened in nearly all other franchises. I guarantee you it'll happen here as well. And it's a crying shame. It's a crying shame to see people start to get taken advantage of, and for these core central experiences to be ripped out and sacrificed on the altar of monetization, and for so many people be willing to allow it to happen. With Yakuza's ever-increasing popularity, business practices along these these veins was bound to happen. It is still a shame that it has actually happened and that the day has come for it to happen. Because if you think they'll stop at New Game Plus, or that other companies won't look at this as a blueprint for what they can maybe get away with for the next time, for their own games, their own projects, then I have a yacht that I want to sell you in Kansas. And it's a shame because Infinite Wealth looks like it's going to be an amazing experience. I've seen the trailers, or at least most of them. The game looks really well structured, intriguing, and emotional, and fun, and bombastic, and it looks like everything that Yakuza is, and is known for, with a story with heart, and care, and personality to it, in a world equally brimming with life, fun, creativity, but with the undertone of dark, macabre practices, underlying and keynoting every little bloop and spectacle that the game has on offer. And when you think about it, hey, this business practice falls right on in line with that idea, huh? A dark besmirchment underlying a beautiful, flashy, colorful experience. And with that, I think I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. It's a shame, really, because like I said, the game looks truly amazing, but it's now always going to be underscored with this scummy business practice. What a shame. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload and stream in the future. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games if you can, and as always, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.